if you've got the RAT in your chart, then you already know. 2026 is your year breaker, okay? But what kind of breaker are we talking about? Is it a clean break, a jailbreak, or just everything breaking all at once, okay? So that's what we're here to unpack. But in a nutshell, 2026 is actually a year of your great reset, okay? So now, before we do that, quick intro. Hi, I'm Pauline Cheng. Thank you for dropping by. I'm a 八字 and Feng Shui practitioner. My motto, to empower, not to disempower. Before we jump headfirst into the madness of 2026, let's rewind for a sec. Look at the momentum you've been riding since 2025. Now, look at all the positive stars. Okay, I hope you milked every drop, okay? Maybe you boosted your self-worth with the Jade Hall, solved problems like a pro thanks to the Dragon Virtue, initiated some big ambitious projects with the Emperor Star, expanded your reach through the Heavenly Horse, okay? Met a whole ecosystem of noble supporters along the way, okay? Then good, okay? Because you're gonna need all of these to ride out 2026. Now, before we dive in, I just want to do a quick clarification, okay? This is a strategy-first interpretation. You hear me talk about the positives and negatives of each star. Not to scare you, but to give you information so that you can play smarter, okay? So if you're ready, let's bring in the star parade for the RAT in 2026. Now, of course, we're gonna start with the big one. Okay, the year breaker. The horse is the rock star of 2026, then the RAT is the lead guitarist. Okay, most of you already know. Year breaker means change. Okay, it's the universe going, oi, RAT, time to make some changes. And this time, the change doesn't come cheap because year breaker always comes with the greater consumer. Okay, it means that it's going to cost either in terms of money or it could be effort or maybe both. Okay, now let's be real. Year breaker is traditionally viewed as a negative star. Today it still is because it brings upheaval, it shakes up stability, it forces uncomfortable shifts. But here's the catch. Sometimes we do need that type of wake-up call. The year breaker can help you shatter the structures that no longer serve you, okay, and clears the way for something entirely new. So here comes the reframe. Okay, change is easier when you initiate it instead of having it slammed down on you. Can you do that in a year when the horse and RAT is clashing? Okay, now let's think for a second. Question. Okay, the RAT is actually water. The horse is fire. Does fire clash water or does water clash fire? Okay, obviously water puts out fire. This means that you, the RAT, water, is clashing out at the year. And in 八字, when we clash out, it means that we actually have control. We are initiating, we're stepping out to disrupt. Whether that's to pivot our careers, end a chapter, or launch something new, we are holding the match. But lighting it will take real investment in time, energy, cash, or maybe all three. So what kind of changes are we talking about? Gen Alpha and younger Gen Z, this could be your leap into independence. First time moving out, going to college, entering the working world. Older Gen Z, young millennials, might be career progression, marriage, or even parenthood, big life shifts, okay, that feel natural but still demand grown-up pivots, okay? Older millennials and Gen X. Now, I've just got one question for you. Are you ready for your third act? Now, you look confused. Third act? What the hell is that? Okay, Act 1, childhood. Nothing much to say. Act 2, adulthood. Okay, career, family, service, the hustle. Act 3, the kids are grown up, the hustle starts to wear thin. Okay, you begin to ask, what do I want next? Okay, now in a year breaker, during a year breaker year, that is the transition that you are being given the opportunity to initiate, okay? But it's going to cost some effort or money. Will it be painful? Let's answer that in the next slide. Okay, now, this year breaker is being supported by the month emptiness. Now let's go with the technical explanation first, okay? This is known as a neutral wish-fulfilling star, meaning it doesn't really tilt good or bad. It simply gives form to whatever is already living in our heads. Okay, it's great for spiritual pursuits because it represents an open pathway, direct download from the universe, okay, and a chance to realign with your inner self or your higher self, however you wish to call it. In the context of the RAT in 2026, the month emptiness coming together with the year breaker represents the need for an internal realignment. It's a chance to reset your values, goals, and actions to suit the changes that you want to make. Simply put, before initiating external change, start by initiating internal change. Okay, but why call it a neutral wish-fulfilling star? Shouldn't wish-fulfilling be good? It's neutral because what you think becomes your reality. So if your thoughts are generally positive, then this is a positive star. But if your thoughts are generally negative, then let's go to the next slide. Obstacles and prison inmates are our very human, very relatable forms of resistance to change. Obstacles is exactly what it sounds like. Stagnation, blocked progress, barriers, stuck in limbo. Should I stay or should I go? Cannot decide, stuck. Like you've hit a ceiling. It's not a pleasant star, admittedly, but from a positive lens, it does help to build resilience. Okay, you learn to problem solve better, develop patience, and sharpen your adaptability. But these are lessons that none of us really want to learn, is it? Prison inmate, okay, also true to its name, imprisonment. Now, to be clear, at its most extreme, this can actually point to physically trapped somewhere. But for most people, it doesn't really go there. What it often represents is the emotional or psychological sense of being trapped. Maybe you're stuck in a toxic job that you feel you cannot leave. Maybe you're stuck in an unhealthy relationship or an unhealthy family dynamics. Okay, or maybe you just got stuck in a lift. Okay, scary, yes, but it still can happen. Okay, so if your apartment lift is kind of wonky, stairs are great for exercise. Now, when these two come together, it feels like breakthroughs are impossible. Like you're going around in circles, recycling the same tired solutions, even though deep down you already know they don't work. Okay, so these stars show up as a giant flashing sign. Oi, one reason you're stuck is because your perspective is too narrow. You're seeing things from a place of fear or scarcity, and that limited view is what is trapping you. So if we look at the picture so far, it's basically saying change is coming, but we're scared, and that fear is keeping us stuck. If I had the chance to rename the prison inmate, I call it the no choice star. By the way, that's your cue. Okay, anytime you catch yourself thinking, I got no choice, okay, then that's the time when you need to remind yourself to pause, sit down, and start looking, because there must always be another angle, always another way, only if you're willing to explore it and see it, okay, because the cost of giving in to the urge to stand still is quite high. The presence of the Calamity star and flying bay exacerbates the effects of the obstacle stars. Calamity star signals the potential for sudden disruptive events. Got blindsided. At the extreme end, it heightens your risk of experiencing natural disasters. So if you live in areas that are prone to things like floods, earthquakes, typhoons, forest fires, etc., all those natural disasters, make sure that you follow evacuation protocols and have a safety plan in place, please. Beyond nature's fury, Calamity star makes you also more vulnerable to external shocks, things like political instability, sudden tariffs, economic downturns, or unexpected misfortunes. For instance, imagine a sudden economic contraction, causing your company to downsize. And you're one of the unfortunate ones who may be on the line. So naturally, your instinct, your first instinct is to find a similar job at a similar level in a similar organization, but every application goes unanswered. Okay, you keep repeating the same strategy with no result while your savings quietly drains away. Okay, so, and just so to be clear, Calamity Shah is like the universe's way of dealing with the more stubborn among us who absolutely refuse change. Okay, so they ignore all the signs, all the red flags, reject every warning. Okay, so with these, when gentle nudges don't work, the Calamity Shah often shows up like a wrecking ball. Okay, next. That by the way is the worst case scenario. Okay, but it can happen, and yet you've heard stories, haven't you? The ones where people say that getting retrenched was the best thing that ever happened to them. Those are the ones who managed to align with their higher self. Instead of wasting energy clinging to old roles, they pivoted. Maybe to freelance work, maybe a new industry, maybe they even started their own ventures. Now, just to be thorough, Calamity Shah also raises the risk of accidents or sudden illnesses, which means that you need to be more proactive and be more cautious about health matters in 2026. Okay. Now, in case also because of the risk of accidents, situational awareness is a must. Okay. Now, and just in case. Okay. Here's what you can do. Number one, make sure your insurances are all up to date. And number two, have enough emergency resources to weather whatever storm may come. Okay, now the flying blade, this one is an argument star. Fights, disputes, gossip, nasty words, you know. Honestly, I wouldn't spend too much energy worrying about this one. Okay, not until we've dealt with all this, the heavy hitters. Okay, but just a heads up, if your company is really downsizing, okay, now is really not the time to pick a fight with your boss, okay? Now, I know so far all this sounds incredibly disheartening, but hang in there. Just 2 more negative stars to go, then we'll talk about the light at the end of the tunnel, okay? Now, you see the chain reaction by now, okay? This way, just a note, this way of presenting the stars is just one possible permutation. The effects of 2026 could start from any point in the cycle, okay? Don't fixate too much on the sequence, okay? Now, we're going to wrap up the negative cluster with 2 emotional stars, the sky sadness and the sky cry. The effect from both is the same, feeling super emo. These stars heighten emotional vulnerability, melancholy, or depression. So if you're already feeling that weight, please seek help, okay? Now, that said, not all emotions are bad. Sometimes a good cry can be deeply cathartic, a full release of pent-up feelings that kickstarts your healing process. Okay, so now here's the deeper invitation. When these 2 show up alongside with the month Emptiness, okay, they point to a unique doorway, an opening to heal your inner child, if you're willing to go there. To face the shadows, to grieve the past versions of yourself, the unmet expectations, the old wounds, and then the month Emptiness, to let them go. Release into the void and make space for something new. Okay? Honestly, looking at this whole cluster of negative stars, I see also I depressed. Okay? But chin up, my rats. Okay? There is light at the end of the tunnel, and we're about to talk about where this light is coming from. The universe isn't leaving you to deal with this chaos alone. So we're bringing in the cavalry in the form of the advisor and the sky fortune. Okay, let's start with advisor. Now, while we are navigating uncertainty and we're wrestling with stuckness or reeling from sudden disruptions, sometimes all we need is a word of advice or a new perspective. Okay, that's the role of the advisor. It represents the presence of people who can offer you guidance, suggestions, and support. Okay, now here's the beauty of the advisor star in the modern timeline. The advisor might not even be someone you know personally. Maybe you're just scrolling through YouTube and stumble across a creator whose words help you see your life differently. That person or even that channel could be your advisor. So how do we use this star? First, be open to unexpected perspectives and new ways of thinking. Second, and this might sound counterintuitive, try becoming the advisor yourself. When we put our own problems aside to focus on someone else, we often unlock insights that help us solve our own challenges. It's weird, but it works. Now, onto the Sky Fortune. This is your blessing star. This one amplifies your good reputation, helps you build stronger connections. When people like, trust, or admire you, help is more likely to arrive when you need it. But beyond that, the Sky Fortune also brings serendipity. You know those lucky breaks that come seemingly out of nowhere, okay, to support your pivot. Okay, but here's the catch. Serendipity cannot find you if you're always hiding at home. You need to put yourself out there, talk to people, be seen, engage. Build the relationships, because the more visible you are, the easier it is for the Sky Fortune and the advisor to find you. So yes, 2025 for the rat isn't exactly a walk in the park. Okay, it's quite intense, it's highly emotional, it's very disruptive, but it is also strategic because this isn't just chaos for chaos sake. It is change with a very specific purpose. And the question is, will you ride it or will you resist it? Okay, so if you've been watching and thinking that, I don't want to just survive this, I want to use it, okay, then you're on the right track, okay? And with that, let me invite you to join our annual workshop. It's called Hack My 2026. It's, we're not teaching metaphysics, okay? It's not possible to teach in 3 days, okay? But instead, it is, we offer you a workshop with a strategic roadmap, okay, tailored to your day master, your elemental strengths, and the actual stars you have in play. Because let's be real, okay, the rat may just be one animal in your chart. You can have up to 4. Okay, so focus elsewhere, for example. So anyway, if you're interested, scan the QR or click the link in the description. Okay, now let's roll out our sleeves and go into the 4 pillars breakdown. So you got rat in the year, super simple. This one, don't freak out. Okay, let's just cover the technical parts side first. Okay, rat and horse are both known as peach blossom animals. When peach blossom animals clash, it's actually an opportunity, a chance to find a new network. So what does that mean? It means your old network cannot use already. They're all stuck in the same outdated thinking. To navigate the shifts happening in your industry, you need to be plugging into a new grapevine so that you're not caught unawares. Okay, so whatever it is that you're looking for, the advisors, the serendipity, that is promised by the Sky Fortune, okay, all this, they're coming through new people, new spaces, and new connections. Second, year pillar represents your personal branding or the public-facing identity of your business or products. When there's a clash here, okay, there's a need to change how you present or promote yourself. Adjust the image. Third, year pillar is the advertising pillar. It's your first point of contact with the outside world. So when there's a clash, it's time to rethink the platform you are using to promote, okay? Now, bottom line, remember how I said that the rat's change is an inside-out change? At the year pillar, it means your brand values may have changed and therefore requires a change in your market positioning. Right in a month, this is your the operational pillar for your career and business. This one's a bit more complex. Let's talk business first. Okay, with the year breaker sitting here, it's time to look into strategic overhaul of how you run your business. This could mean either changing your operations, reworking your business model, or even shifting your market focus. Ask yourself, how else can your current product or service be used? Can you sell it to a different market? Okay, same offering, different positioning. That's the play. Now let's talk about the greater consumer. This star means a major outflow, right? But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Reinvesting that money into systems, automation, staff training, or targeted marketing could pay off, especially if you're tapping into new markets. Okay, just remember, no vanity spends, okay? Now, career professionals, you may feel stuck. Maybe like you feel like you've hit a plateau or a ceiling. That's the prison inmate vibe. If the glass ceiling is real, and don't wait for someone to break it for you, plan your escape. Okay, let's brainstorm a few ways that we can create positive career pivots you can initiate. Well, getting promoted is change. Negotiating for fewer hours also change. Changing your direct report, relocating to a new office, tweaking your job description, or yes, changing jobs, possible, okay? Now maybe you even opt for a short break, or what people these days call micro-retirement. That's entirely up to you, okay? And for both business and career, these negative stars, okay, can mean that you have a low sanji problem. Okay, low sanji means the staff that has been in your organization for decades, okay, and they are being particularly resistant to change. Okay, so again, coming back to the inside out change of the rat, at the month pillar, your capacity has changed, therefore your work identity changes with it. Okay, next, rat in the day. This one is even more complex, okay? This pillar doesn't govern a wide range, but they kind of hit close to home, okay? So first, day pillar governs the home you currently live in. With the Calamity Shah, there could be damage due to natural causes, so please make sure that you are vigilant about maintenance, okay? Greater consumer, since money is going to leave anyway, spend it strategically. Maybe prioritize necessary repairs or renovation that actually adds value to your home, for example. If your partner married or cohabiting, pay attention. Your partner may be feeling a little bit suffocated by the role that has been assigned or foisted onto them. So your job, help to lighten their load mentally, emotionally, or logistically. Okay, that is if you want to preserve the relationship. In this case, flying blade isn't all that bad. It's not pleasant, but it's not all that bad, because as long as arguments are still happening, it means that both parties are still invested in the relationship. The danger always comes when the fighting stops. And then we are thinking, great, they finally accepted that this is how things are. That is when the bomb might drop. Okay. Now, if you want to use these stars positively, okay, you need to be proactive about how you maintain and evolve the relationship, okay? Because once the clash happens, then all we're left with is the sky cry. Okay, now, if you're happily single or partnered but doing inner work, 2026 is a powerful year for self-healing. Think about all the emotional baggage standing in the way of you reconnecting to your inner self. Since birth, society has placed a lot of labels on us, our name, gender, race, nationality. Then our families add even more, son, daughter, brother, sister, parent, which each label comes a role we are expected to perform, right? And in the act of performing those roles, certain parts of the real us gets buried or wither. So like, for example, an artist who denies their creativity to pursue something more practical because bills need to be paid, for example. So 2026, with the month emptiness and the year breaker in the mix, can be the year you go back and reclaim those parts of yourself you thought had been lost, and begin to build a lifestyle where those parts of yourself can begin to breathe again. So in short, this is a change of self-identity. No longer just a good son, a sacrificing mother. Okay, but let's not minimize this. Okay, deconstructing these social scripts can be really hard work. Now, finally, right in the hour. Okay, now let's start with investments. Okay, please, with this, I beg you, no FOMO plays. Please stick to long-term, fundamentally sound investments. Why? Because when the hour pillar is being clashed, your thinking gets a bit wobbly. Okay, so it affects our judgment. In simple terms, can't fully trust our brains in 2026. Okay, so play it safe. Go back to basics. Okay, is there an advisor star here that can help? Yes, potentially. Okay, but whether or not we are able to differentiate between good advice and garbage advice, that can also be quite debatable. Okay, now next. When it comes to staff, if you're a business owner, talent retention might be a bit of an issue in 2026 because the greater consumer is here. So maybe you should consider paying them more, because I know the economy is rough. Okay, now seriously, okay, this clash could be a sign that it's time to rethink your staffing strategy. Maybe for just a small investment, you are able to find new talents for your organization. For career professionals, this may signal a change in your team, the team who reports to you, whom you manage, or a shift in how you contribute to the larger organization. Now, let's talk about emotional core, children and mindset. Think of 2026 as an opportunity to build mental resilience. But I won't sugarcoat it. I really don't like seeing prison inmate in the hour pillar because it often shows up as a stuck mindset, a loop of scarcity thinking, self-doubt, or limited perspective. And when your mind is the one trying to mess you up, that's the hardest prison to break out of. So, if you need support, counseling, therapy, coaching, mentorship, please by all means seek it. Okay, there's no shame in asking for help, especially if that help can help you see the world and yourself differently. So now, if you've enjoyed this sharing, here are the ways that we can continue to work together. Of course, we have you can book a 八字 consult. Okay, we'll decode your chart together, and I promise you, okay, every chart is individual, one-on-one. Okay, no AI mass reports. Okay, just me and you and your chart. Okay. Number two, if you're looking to have your feng shui, your space book better for you, I also offer feng shui audits, but I don't typically accept new clients in January or February because I need to honor my 八字 clients. And if you are really ready for your third act, and if you feel that, I might be able to be a 八字 consultant, then this is a course that I designed to help support new 八字 consultants coming into the industry. So if you are interested, go and check out the link. It's in the video description. I also have a promo running. It's called the Crazy Horse promo. So at the point of checkout, you just type CRAZEEHORSE, one word, into the coupon, and you will find that you get a very nice little discount. Okay, next. Okay, let's check out your buddies. Okay, so obviously you need buddies. Number one, the ox. Okay, this is your dependable problem-solving partner. Okay, if you're facing a particularly tough situation, okay, whether it is business, emotional, career, or logistical, the ox could be your go-to. Okay, and fun fact, the ox still has access to some of the same resources and authority that supported you in 2025. So they may be holding tools or connections that you can tap into. Next, the dragon. Okay, another strong ally with powerful problem-solving stars in 2026. So if the ox is your slow and steady troubleshooter, the dragon is your strategic visionary. They're able to see bigger pictures and offer bold, unconventional solutions. Okay, now finally, the monkey. This one is on the move in 2026, exploring new spaces, chasing new opportunities, probably breaking a few rules along the way. So if you're feeling stuck in your mindset or outlook, the monkey is who you call for fresh, unfiltered perspectives. They will show you angles that you haven't thought of maybe. Sometimes they can be a bit chaotic, but definitely creative. Okay, so if your year feels tough, then don't go it alone. Okay, tap into your circle. These 3 signs, ox, dragon, and monkey, may just be your strongest ally this year. Okay, and finally, that's the rat's year of the reset. Okay, it's a big reset. Okay, so don't fear change. Okay, it's just inevitable. Okay, it's often exactly what clears the path for the life that you actually want. Okay, so with that, let me wish you with the rat, 恭喜發財. Okay, and may your plans unfold grandly in 2026. Okay, so with courage, may it land with courage, with clarity, and well, with better cash flow. So anyway, I'm Pauline Cheng. Thank you for trusting me to guide you through this journey. If you've got questions, comments, okay, I do reply, okay? And if you've enjoyed this sharing, don't be shy. Smash that like and subscribe button like you mean it, okay? And when you're ready to go deeper, you know where to find me. Until then, you have a great day ahead.